So when MC enters, you listen. Like
he does usually have a pretty
goes.
good idea what's going on.
He's the president of Protoss, I believe.
I think that means all Protoss are required to do as he says.
We voted him in. In the top right-hand side is the Korean Protoss from Team Liquid. It is HerO. And leading 1-0 is his opponent, the French Zerg Millennium Stephano. I think for one day, Stephano might be French-Canadian. Is that possible?
That was a pretty loud cheer. That would kind of explain it.
There's like 30 people that said we. Great gaming station. All right. Protoss players drop the pylon at the front. I say bad jokes just purely to get Greg to laugh. I'm sorry, guys. It's very selfish. Pylon gets dropped at the front of Daybreak. This is going to be a pretty standard opening. It is a wider opening than Cloud Kingdom, so it does minimize some of your options. And I know some Zergs like to toy around with that. There's hatchery blocks from Inertio, that kind of stuff. But I haven't known Stephano to do that. And honestly, if you play it safe like he did in Game 1 and win it as convincing as you did, I don't see any reason to change things too much.
He only really does early aggression or anything off par or off kilter early game if he thinks there's an opening for it. Like against a player like Grubby or Sase, he will mix in a Ling Baneling all in just because they are so greedy with the Immortal openings. They often won't be able to hold it off. But against HerO, HerO's absolutely normal and standard early game. He's not going to give you any openings. And so I can't imagine Stephano doing anything that deviates from the norm. He does have his normal 15 pull going down. He does actually, HerO's just going to let him put this hatchery up. He did not follow that proposed. And he does get it at the natural once again. Getting it at the natural here is a pretty big deal. There's a very good cannon rush spot here. Sometimes if you put down the third base right away, Protoss will go for that cannon rush. But as is, Stephano doesn't need to worry about that at all. He just gets
I'll tell you what, there's something early developing here. I mean, it's Forge before Nexus. I want to say that HerO was hoping to instigate that second hatchery at the third for that cannon rush, but by canceling the pylon, Stephano is one step ahead of HerO and said, okay, I'll take this slightly delayed hatchery at my natural as opposed to going for the third. And by doing that, with the spawning pool finished, I don't think he can cannon rush here. I mean, he just simply can't. Yeah,
I think you're definitely right. He pulled that probe back. It looked really weird when he did that. He was allowing the third hatchery to go up. It was absolutely conscious. And then he was trying to block this off with the probe, but he just didn't get there in time. So I think you're right. And this is a map where you can definitely go Nexus first. You don't need to put that Forge first down, particularly after scouting 15 pull. So HerO took a bit of an economic hit, and his plan didn't really pay off there.
It is. I just think it was a little bit of a chess game going on there. He's looking a couple moves ahead. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. But as it is, Forge before Nexus and the cancellation of a pylon, not the biggest deal. I mean, he's still within reach here.
Still an absolutely normal opening.
Yeah. I mean, the Protoss is going to be ahead in Harvested at this stage. That's one thing that a lot of players kind of look to see where the difference is. And as it is, the Protoss player does have that slight advantage. Now, the Daybreak, this is a map where, I mean, when I think about the Stephano style, this is where I feel like it was bred. Like, this is where we see the two-prong attack going up that ramp towards the natural, but also the pathway to the third. And I want to ask you, too, about the last game. Kind of, it wasn't the Roach style, per se, but it was definitely a reaction to Stargate. Do you think Stargate can't hold off that style, or is that just something that Stephano does better than the rest?
I think it can on most maps. HerO did do a riskier version of it. He didn't have Blink, and he didn't have Immortals. More often than not, you want to have at least one of those two, Blink and +2 weapon or Immortal, in order to defend your third base. HerO went for a little bit faster, and he may have still been able to hold it off. He missed his force fields, absolutely. He didn't have any building wall up. He didn't have any cannons up. And Stephano hit the perfect timing. He absolutely saw an opening and went for it.
And that is a Stargate.
It's also only the third gas, not the fourth gas, which is the same thing he did last game. So it looks like he may have just chosen an opening, and he's going with it for now. Some players will do that for a series. They'll just find an opening that they're very comfortable with, and they'll go for it every map. But when you do have that kind of game plan going into a match, and it loses really terribly the first game, as it did there, that kind of throws you off psychologically.
I mean, I think one of the interesting developments of the two styles that we see, and I'm going to call HerO style the Korean Protoss style, is way back in the day when this Roach build was first coming out from Stephano, I saw a lot of players like MC doing a Stargate build specifically against it because he kind of felt like that was the answer to it. If you have a uninhibited Void Ray hovering over the top of the Roaches, you'll eventually whittle it down. And then with your Phoenix, you can kind of capitalize on exposed Mineral Lions or Wandering Queens, that kind of thing. So I wonder if HerO just really feels like that's the response that he just wasn't able to execute at a high enough level.
Well, he may have felt that, or he may feel he needs some kind of adjustments, but he is going for a very fast robo this game. And on this map, like you said, this is a great map for the Roach aggression. There's lots of openings. You can clear the rocks here and have a big path here. very big path here as well. So it looks like he will be going for Immortals before the third base.
And as far as Stephano's concerned, it's pretty much business as usual. There will be an Overlord getting hunted and killed over here at the top of the map. And that's pretty standard. This Void Ray is going to want to clear the tower, kill maybe an Overlord or two more. Oh, we have some light pressure actually with 2 Zealots and a Stalker.
Bunch of Zerglings already out, 2 Queens there. His 4-Crawler coming as well.
Yeah.
HerO should be fine, short of snapping like, oh wow, and he traps the Stalker.
Oh my gosh. And the Zealots were actually a part of that trap.
Yeah, that was a little bit of miscontrol by HerO. He trapped the Stalker himself with the Zealots. He could have
friends like these.
Unfortunately for Stephano, he did make 8 roaches. He kind of overestimated that aggression. That was just a little poke by HerO. He's not following it up. There's no pylon. He's not attempting to do any kind of real aggression after that. So Stephano's making actually more defense than he really needs.
Yeah.
But killing that off with 0 loss is still a nice thing for him. And a bunch of Phoenix now out, 3 out, 4th on the way, and he's now deciding to show them. The Void Ray dancing around, but it will be pushed back by these two teams very easily.
Well, there's some interesting developments here. I mean, a lot of people, when they criticize Stephano's play and talk about things that make him kind of weird, they talk about his lack of scouting. You'll notice the right side of the map with the Protoss, not very revealed, but the one very pertinent amount of information that he is gathering is that there's no third. So when we talk about kind of overestimating his defenses, it could be because he thinks a big 2-base timing is on the way, when in reality, I think he's just teching up to take his third.
Yeah, he's only on 4 gateways right now. He's getting the Immortals out. This is just a very safe third base from HerO.
He lost his Void Ray behind that, Greg.
Oh wow, we missed that.
Yeah.
4 Phoenix still out, but the Void Ray does go down. That's pretty big. The Void Ray, like you said, it can sit on top of the roaches and do a lot of damage. And a big Roach Lake coming attack, and HerO hasn't even taken his third base. He has 4 sentries, 1 Immortal, a Wallen with a cannon behind it, but that's a lot of units from Stephano. And Speed Roach, only about 40 seconds for finishing.
Now with this many Zerglings, this is not the like front cracked kind of army of River Roaches, and he could perhaps challenge that, but as it is, Stephano's going for the more inexpensive Zergling, which means, hey, if you want to come out here and play, you're probably going to die. But with that Observer and now the Phoenix floating over above, I don't think that the HerO's going to test those waters too much, but as he does move out, he sees the Zerg is also retreating, so he might feel safe to do that just now.
Looks like he does feel comfortable moving out. We actually have a Robo Day coming from HerO, and that's interesting. I've seen a lot of Korean Protosses doing 2-base Colossus recently. I haven't seen it had a lot of success. I don't really think it's that good. But in this situation, HerO sees a lot of units from Stephano early on. He knows he's not taking it. Big attack coming in.
He's going for it.
He's surrounding, he's targeting down the sentries. He has everything really well surrounded.
Yeah.
So many zones in here, so many Zerglings. That's a really good competition.
To be honest, those are the HerO forces that we've been waiting for. He cleans up all the Zerglings, and now these Roaches know they can't go away. Even pulling back the wounded sentries, HerO has smashed that army.
He only lost 1 sentry. That was just absolute perfect control from HerO there.
I mean, it's one thing for those guys to die, but usually they kill a sentry or two. There's some way to justify them. To get only a Zealot killed, or you say sentry? 1 sentry, not worth it.
Oh, the cancel on the next.
Cancel.
That's still a lot of units. And Zergling are very large. Another big surround. Good for it, because he doesn't have enough left. He does lose 2 sentries there, but still fighting very, very efficiently here. And so many units from Stephano. He really does not want to be spending large on that. If you look at his Harvester count, 68 to 63. He needs to be way further ahead to be comfortable at this point in the game.
He's going to want to start focusing on that, as we do see drones coming out, but he's also getting pathogen glands and 1/1 upgrades for the melee unit. So this will be Ling Infestor. And what he's trying to do with these Lings is buy himself more time, maybe get a couple cancellations on that next side. But as it is, if he tries to go in here, it might not be so good, and he does back away. Force fields can lock him in. Stephano now aggressively expanding to the middle of the map. He wants to maintain at least a 1-base advantage over the Protoss player. You talked about Harvester count, but also base count. You never want to be on par with the Protoss.
And HerO's first Colossus is now out. And interesting, Stephano is going the Ling Infestor style. And that's pretty good for the Protoss. If you can get 4 Colossus out before Hive Tech is up, and you have a really, really strong timing push.
Yep.
HerO Parasite isn't a good enough counter on its own, and it's hard to get a lot of Ling Infestor and a lot of Corruptors in time to hold that off while going high comfortably.
Now,
a big fungal on all the Phoenix.
I don't think there's enough fungals to keep them here, so it might. Oh no! What am I saying?
Yeah, 2 Queens shooting.
Holy
and
crap!
A bunch of Infestors. All of the Phoenix go down except this one remaining.
Yeah,
that does take a bunch of Infestor mana, but that's a lot of harass potential from HerO that is now gone.
It's a big deal. I mean, if they're able to pick up Infestors in the fight and either just remove them from the fight altogether or kill them, that's a huge deal. Now, I do want to say that a developing story here is that +1 armor is on the way for Protoss. He is upgrading Blink, which means that the Twilight Council is complete, but he is in danger of kind of getting outpaced upgrade-wise, which is a very weird place for Protoss to be. Usually Chrono Boost makes it so that they're at least like 3 attack or something, but because he went Colossus instead of the more standard Twilight Council, he could be behind on that, but as it is, it's not the biggest deal. He has secured a 3rd base for himself. fourth base for the Zerg player just now getting saturated. It's looking pretty good for HerO. They're even close in supply.
Third Colossus is out, but he's starting a Warp Prism, which makes me think that a timing attack is slightly less likely. That 4 Colossus, 4 is kind of the magic number for Colossus against Lair Tech. And that Hive Tech would not complete in time to hold off the 4th Colossus, I don't believe. However, that Warp Prism, that could still be a timing attack. He could use the Warp Prism to split Stephano's attention into his main while going in for a frontal attack, but it means that the frontal attack won't be quite as strong.
He's adding gateways to wall off that third. And he's also scouted the morphing hive, so he has a pretty good idea of where Stephano's going. This is not some kind of mid-game 5-base, like mid-tier tech push from the Zerg. This is definitely the more standard Daybreak style where you just get Broodlords out and go for it. Now with 3 Colossus, no 4th one queue just yet. This is, I think this is the pretty standard Korean style where they just push now.
Yeah, and it looks, the way this Warp Prism is going, it's looking like that's just going to be a reinforced. He's going to pop it up right here and continually warp in. He really needs to spread this out. Everything comes down to the fungals right here. If Stephano gets huge fungals, he can win. But that was not a good fungal. He didn't get the sentries. The Colossus forces infestations back, so before he could train fungal. Bunch of infested Terrans coming out, and a big fungal on all the Colossus.
Good force fields.
Very
most of that
Zerg
Zerg army's being held back. The fungals are washing off those Colossi. One Colossus does go down, but the next 2 walk back. And Stephano is getting smashed here a little bit.
Stephano just got absolutely run over. That was perfect control by HerO.
HerO has entered the battlefield, and he will not be denied. This base will go down nearly uncontested, but as I say nearly, what I do mean is the Zerg's like, well, I lost half my army. I guess you can have the other half later. And Protoss is now pushing forward. We have
6 Corruptors now out to help target down those Colossus, but with the Warp Prism here and 7 gateways, he can just continually warp in ground units that don't really care about those Corruptors at all. And
there's just not enough fungals. Oh, the Corruptors are going down now as well. Trying to get through that force field wall. He will get these front units. I feel like they're getting damaged pretty good. But with the Immortals in the back, they're doing so much DPS to this mostly Roach army. And critically, I mean, look at the production tab. No Infestors coming out. There's just 2 out here. They don't even have enough for a fungal.
Nope.
I think HerO just keeps reinforcing, and as long as he does that, he's just going to have too much Protoss.
Continuing warping in Stalkers. He has Blink, so the control is just going to be absolutely impeccable as always from him. And no way to wear this down without a lot of fungal. Drones pulled, that's always a sign of desperation from Zerg, and it's not going to be enough here. But his Immortals in front taking damage perfectly, plus the Blink Micro. And just everything dying here for Stephano.
Stephano's going to try to do his final stand right here. Fungal's going down on all the Stalkers, and it's holding him back from Blink, but that's just 1 fungal. And as we see here with the Blink Micro of HerO, a lot of these units are still standing. It's 165 supply HerO versus just 120 Stephano, and now his 3rd base is going to go down uncontested, and Stephano is asking himself, how did I get here? Things were going so well just moments ago, but it's not so much now.
No, only Roachling in production, no opportunity to go up to Hive Tech, no opportunity to get Broodlords, can't afford more Infestors. Well, he could, but they wouldn't be out in time, and they wouldn't be enough without any support units.
Oh, he's dancing! Dancing the Stalkers. If we ask the question, hey, was HerO nervous game 1, game 2, the answer is hell no. I feel pretty confident about tying this up, and with the drones being pulled, it's every man, woman, and child for themselves, but unfortunately drones probably fight at about child level as they are just going down.
Yep, the Zealous now in front, taking the damage very well. The Stalkers, it wasn't a great army formation before, but at this point, HerO just doesn't care. He's attack moving in. He can do whatever he wants. A little Blink Micro, but just for show.
Well played.
Stephano, GG's.
And I think that was a pretty good display of exactly what we've been talking about, keeping tabs on when that hive is trying to morph. And again, when the Zerg is trying to say, hey, leave me alone until I get about, 5, 6, 20 Broodlords. And if you show up around then, I should feel pretty comfortable receiving you the way I want. But as it is, HerO had good scouting. He defended beautifully with his micro at that 3rd. Getting the Nexus canceled, not that big of a deal when you also kill the entire Zerg army.
Absolutely. That was a great trade for HerO. Just perfect control on everything. And perfect timing. Like, he did everything right. Stephano made some questionable decisions early on. That was all it took for him to lose the game.
And let's break down that major engagement right here, as we do have replayability with NASL. I think what's important to see is that he walks the Colossi forward, using their range to get the Zerg to push forward. And I mean, he uses a couple basically useless fungals on the Colossi.
Yeah, he only got 1 Colossus for all those fungals. The fungals didn't hit any of the sentries or the Stalkers. He didn't wear those down at all. And then once the army was actually able to get forward and engage, he pulled the Colossus back. And that was all that he spent the fungals on, so it was absolutely worthless.
I mean, the real strength of the defense for the Zerg is going to be those fungals, trying to get massive clumps on the sentries, the Zealots, and the Stalkers.
Yeah.
But the fight going that way for the Protoss, it was never looking good. I mean, that's one of the things we talked about at Home Story Cup with NerChio. He was getting those fungals every single time, not wasting a single fungal. And that's something that Stephano is going to look to do in Game 3. But before we go there, guys, we want to give a big shout-out to our sponsors once again, Interceptor Group, Cyberactive Esports Canada, and then, of course, the people that make the NASL possible, Epson, ISO, Kingston HyperX, GameMinder, and iBuyPower. A quick commercial break, and on the other side, more games.